Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give you a brief warning. There are several triggering situations in this podcast. If you are easily triggered, please don't watch this podcast, because we are dealing with some very sensitive and some dark sensitive items. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Podcast number 9. Yeah, 9. I gotta say, kind of feels weird. You think, Chris? 9 podcasts. Thank you for everyone who has visited and seen us on podcast 6, which has done exceptionally well. We're starting to hire some professionals, because this YouTubing thing is a bit more complicated than me and Chris actually thought it was at the start. We both said to ourselves, "Oh, we'll learn that," and we looked at it and went, "Maybe not. We might need to hire some people." So, to the noble gentleman who does some of our video background stuff, thank you very much. We won't mention his name for his own privacy, but we do appreciate the work that he has done, and we believe that is a necessary shout out, if you like. So, let's get started, I think. Donald Trump moves to take over Gaza Strip, and how that will refugee impact with the rest of Europe and affect Britain when it eventually fails, and the whole area is a mess. Let me be very, very clear. I don't care the ambition of Donald Trump or Israel. If the Palestinian people are thrown out of Palestine in its entirety, as the right-winged, psychopathic, genocidal Zionists wish, the refugee crisis and the implosion of multiple Arab states that will go absolutely apeshit. Remember, these governments are not liked by their people already. Remember, the Saudi government is already considered colluding with Trump. The UAE is considered colluding with Trump. Egypt, none of these governments will survive. We're talking about the stable parts of the Middle East. Yeah. We're not talking Syria and Iraq here, Chris. We're talking about the oil-producing areas. They will implode. Their people will rise the fuck up. This is not going to work. Donald Trump is going to... He might attempt it. He might attempt this. But it is going to be destructively a bad idea. Beyond a bad idea. Because of the reverbeating effects it will have on the rest of the Middle East. That's the one element. That's the oil element. That's the fuck our fuel element. That's the fuck our civilization that's running on fuel element. That is going to go absolute shit sideways. As oil workers are chucking tools at American businessmen, that fucking security guards are leaving people to be lynched, that the fucking royal family of Saudi Arabia might get stabbed up by their own guards. That level of disorder. It's just the reality you have to understand. Donald Trump, his approach towards Gaza, hopefully his military advisors will tell him the absolute fucking disaster this will cause.
It's a power grab.
No, even if the Israelis want this, even if the deluded US senators want this, someone in the military command in America must see this as the powder keg of powder kegs. Because there's this absolute regurgitated pond scum called Douglas Murray. I don't know if you know him, Chris. He's a bit of a right-wing talking point and an ethno-nationalist. He has made comments about how the rest of the Middle East doesn't like specifically the Palestinians. This is nothing but beyond the truth. I am telling you this now, not just as a Muslim here in the West. I'm telling you this from as a chef before I was anywhere near a Muslim, that Muslim people all around, from Morocco to fucking Algeria, all the way down to Egypt, as far as literally into Africa, all Muslims love the Palestinians. All of them. And the rulers of the Middle East will absolutely politically implode if Donald Trump succeeds, or comes even close to succeeding, expelling the Palestinian people from their homes. And then you've got the problem of anywhere between 1 to 5 million refugees. Where are they going to go?
You know exactly where they go. I know where they go. They're going to come.
And this is what I keep telling you ethno-nationalists who keep supporting people like Nigel Farage and people like Douglas Murray and Constantine and the rest of these right-wing Zionist talking point nutcases. If you support these ideologies and keep supplying these bombs, you will continue to suffer the political repercussions of people running from falling bombs. Don't want refugees? Stop bombing their fucking homes. It isn't rocket science.
Keep your nose out of other people's business.
No. You can apply pressure through embargoes. Let's take a benign side of imperial Western imperialism: blockades, trade embargoes, refusal to move into the markets, cutting off supplies, cutting off money like the American banks have done to Russia. You know, we've seen them do that. That didn't involve people actually invading fucking Russia. We've seen
that was stroke a kid.
Exactly.
It's basically you want to be stupid. Goodbye funding.
There is a form, and I'm not a proponent of Western imperialism. A'udhu billah. What I'm saying is there is a far more humane way, if you're a Western imperialist, that doesn't lead to millions of refugees.
For you to then whinge that you've got too many refugees.
For you to then whinge you've got too many refugees.
Instead of thinking of a solution so it doesn't affect anything along the lines and actually makes the people that are trying to cause the issue think, oh, hang on, if we do this, we're going to end up shafting ourselves.
The point is, Donald doesn't care because he doesn't live in the European continent. America does not give a rat's fuck about most of us. They certainly don't care about Britain. It's all talk with them. I promise you, it's all talk. I think that's something we need to get between you, the British people, is that we are not... I know it's bitter for me to say this, but we are not a great power anymore. We're not even a major power. We are a minor power of a medium nation with an ageing military and an ageing infrastructure. And we need to come to grips with that. One of the greatest things you need to understand is realising you're not what you were is part of the solution. Because then you know where
realising
you are.
You need to put some work within yourself realises that...
Especially from a nation.
Hang on. We got some work to do in order to maintain the status we would like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this follows on with the fact that Nigel Farage is apparently by one poll competing with the Conservative government. Good. And I keep repeating this to everyone. They're polling the same group of ethno-nationalists. That is not a national poll. I'm telling you, more and more Britons are angry over the behaviour of the Conservatives and the ethno-nationalists than you might genuinely think. Because we can see the right-wing rhetoric getting worse and worse every day. Every day.
Because it doesn't reflect everybody's opinion.
No, it doesn't.
It reflects only a small portion. Which, like,
even if they're a loud minority of Britain, they're still a loud minority. They are not... The fact that the Tories and Nigel Farage's party are fighting, and it is Nigel Farage's party, yeah? I'm not calling it the whatever bloody new name it's got. It's the Nigel Farage cult party. That's what it is.
That's going from one end straight to the other.
It is, but it is. It's a cult personality. When he left UKIP, it fell apart. It reduced to nothing.
The lad might fucked off, so everything...
Yeah, exactly. When he left Brexit Party, same thing happened again.
As you said, he likes to spout shit and don't solve it.
That's the problem. Nigel Farage is a big talker about problems. In a mildly sophisticated way, he does not give solutions. Following on to the business involving Donald Trump, General Basyuk. Why was he visiting the UK? And why was he given diplomatic immunity? British authorities gave special diplomatic immunity to an Israeli general to visit the UK last month, the government has confirmed.
Why?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. The government has told us nothing. Why are we having Israeli generals visiting?
I have no issues with people wanting to visit to us, because obviously tourism is part of...
But he's not. They know he's there on official business.
But even if he's there on official business, it should be written in the book and everything else, and no one should have diplomatic immunity.
Unless you're a diplomat. Obviously, if you're a diplomat doing diplomatic stuff.
If his case is to benefit the country coming from and us, then fair enough to make sure no harm.
That's why you give an exchange of diplomacy.
Yeah. So, but that should be the only reason. But the fact that we know nothing of why he was here, and it was all kept hush-hush.
Oh, absolutely. According to the outlet Declassified UK, an Israeli general, 𝐬𝐿 Basyuk, led by a delegation to London on the 22nd of January, holding meetings at the Ministry of Defence and other governmental departments in Whitehall. They were seen in a video of the time refusing to answer and avoiding questions about the possibility of investigation for war crimes in Gaza. Now, the man isn't accused of war crimes at the moment, but what special requirements is necessary to give a man like that diplomatic immunity.
Hang on. If he's going to be if he's even on the list of potentially committing war crimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why the fuck is he given diplomatic immunity? No, if anything, I'll be turning around and going, no, sorry, you're not getting nothing. So the fact that you basically committed,
no, we don't know, but you're on the bloody list.
You're on the list of potential war crimes. So your diplomatic immunity does not exist.
Now, in response to a parliamentary question from Brian Lesman, Labour MP of Alloa and Greenwoods, the government has admitted it gave consent for special mission status to a visit to the UK on the 21st and 22nd of January of Major General General Basyuk and his delegation to participate in a meeting with MOD. Foreign Office and Cabinet officers have officially said. They have refused to give answers to what the meeting is. I'm sorry, I think shadowy members of the Israeli Defence Force, he's the third I see. Very few people know who he is. Very few people know who he is. And that is a scary thing. So a shadowy part of the Israeli Defence Force comes into the UK to talk to our MOD. Our government has to be forced to admit it because a Labour MP has asked the question. Why do we have not any further information about the matter?
That just says to me they talk about something which would enrage the UK people and everyone else.
Absolutely. It's entirely like Keir Starmer is playing a double-edged knife, and it irritates me. He claims he's a Labour and a humanitarian lawyer.
And then goes
I'm sorry.
Community for general.
I'm fucking sorry. And then gives a diplomatic immunity to a possible, because we have to be careful here, a possible wanted war criminal.
Someone that is on the list to be looked at.
Just fuck me. Just, what are you doing, Stella? Are you a prime minister, or are you like Donald Trump, just like with a Star of David collar wrapped around your fucking neck? Or maybe that's a bit extreme. I know. Maybe I see you almost snorting your tea there. I have to ask the fucking question, because did we elect you? Apparently we did, but who do you answer to? Because if you don't answer to me, get the fuck out of 10 Downing Street. And you don't answer to Chris and the rest of my island, not just me explicitly. I'm not saying
if you don't answer to the people that put you there,
get out.
Get out.
Yeah, get out. I don't see that as a point where we can sit back and consider that as normal.
And after all the crap we've already pulled with everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. You fucked our economy. You failed every fucking promise you've made.
The fact that if it's basically based on your ability to do the job, which I believe it should 100% be, you'll be out the bloody door, you'll be sacked within 10 seconds because you haven't done anything you said you're going to do. Seeing as we're paying your wages and elected you, and you failed to do anything you set out to do.
I don't think he'll last the year. I don't think he'll make December.
I hope he doesn't make fucking July. What are you on?
I don't think he'll make December. My question is, which of those other pro-Zionist shrills in his cabinet will take over? That's my problem.
Message to you lot, if you don't turn around and fulfil your promises, you'll be following the same bloody route as him. Out the door.
The country's getting ruthless when it comes to politicians. I mean,
you need to do what you set out to do, or don't bloody bother running.
I think that needs to be said more, because our country needs to be more transparent. The British political establishment need to understand that there are questions you're going to have to ask. You can't hide behind failed. Oh yes, we gave status, but we declined to mention why at the moment. It's a matter of discussion in government. Fuck you. We're in a digital age. Answer our questions or get the fuck out of office. It's not more complicated than that, I think. I mean, I'm quite brutal about this. These people are being paid by mine and your tax. We work so these people can actually, run our country, apparently with some measure of skill. Well, I haven't seen it yet, especially with the Labour government.
I have a feeling a toddler would do a better job.
My 10-year-old niece could probably run the government
I just have this feeling of this toddler sat there. Would you like to give this general immunity? No!
Who is he? Israeli. Hell no!
Has he done bad things? Yes, then no.
Batman pile? Good man pile. He goes in Batman pile. Fucking Jesus Christ. 3-year-old mentality. That comes with that quote about villains. You should always have a 6-year-old on your board with the villains. If the 6-year-old can cut through it, then you know you've got a bad idea. We should put a 6-year-old next to a stemmer. We might improve the government a bit. I find it incredulous that at the same time Donald Trump is talking about wiping out, ethnically cleansing. Let's call what him relocating people in Gaza is. It's an ethnic cleansing. And we need to call it an ethnic cleansing. The President of the United States of America, with Israel, wants to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. They want to remove the native population from their homeland.
With him trying to take over Gaza and remove the Palestinians, that's basically saying, oh, we know the one side's not quite doing the job, not succeeding in what they want, so they're asking for their big brother to come along and actually do the job for them.
Absolutely.
Hang on, I believe there's a certain word that falls under bullying.
Yeah, it's not just bullying, mate. It's mental. Ethnic cleansing is ethnic cleansing. There is no justification over any form of ethnic cleansing.
Why are you moving people from the homeland? People that were born in that area.
Sure, Chris, they've been there fucking 1,000 years.
Yeah, that's right. Someone that's got generational ties within that land. Why are you trying to remove them? What, just because of the fact? Because the Bible apparently said that land was promised to the children of Abraham. But if you believe the mythos point of view, the Arabs are also the children of Abraham. So it's also their land. I'm getting sick and tired of religious extremists trying to clarify that they own fucking something. You don't! No one owns anything unless you put the work in and actually do it. Without causing mass fucking genocide, because everybody has a right to live.
It's mad.
Unless they commit some astonishingly evil acts, in which case they deserve to die.
It's madness. That we are living in a time when the leader of the apparent free world, and I don't think Donald Trump is the leader of the free world. I don't even think he's close. We don't have someone to replace him.
No, he's the leader of America.
Yeah, he's the leader. He's not.
There is no leader of the free world. It's a collection of leaders governing the free world.
Yeah.
There is no leader of the free world. It's multiple people doing it. Because everybody has a right to say for their own country. I think that's what the UN's meant to do, isn't it?
Oh, fucking hell, that's even worse.
I thought the UN was the case of the fact, obviously, to govern,
Chris,
everyone have their say.
The UN is the most useless rubber stamp I've ever seen in my life.
I have a distinct feeling it's just turned into a shit show of childish tantrums.
There was apparently an official US senator who turned around and said to one of the news outlets who asked him why the International Crime Court shouldn't be interviewing or looking at war crimes by Britain or America or Israel. He says because we set them up to take on African warlords and Russians. They're not set up to look at what we're doing. An American senator said that.
So they were set up to do one thing and now trying to do something else?
No. The court says its duty is to uphold human law everywhere. Mm-hmm. But the Americans are under this impression it was only set up for African warlords and Russia.
That's opposite end of the scale. We're set up to maintain everything across the entire lot. No, you're just there to sort Africa and Russia.
Yeah, that's what that senator believed. Absolutely, it's a fucking joke. Absolutely. The fact that America thinks that little of the International Crimes Court and then built a legal loophole in their own, I don't know if it's constitutional or if it's law, that they're allowed to invade Brussels.
What?
Yeah. That America has put a proverb that they can invade Brussels to get at anybody who is seized by the International Crimes Court if they deem necessary and fit to do so. It's a US law.
Hang on, that's US law. That's not a. I'm scared that they're writing their own little objective into bloody something that's supposed to...
The American Service Members Protection Act, also known as the Hague Invasion Act, is a US law that gives the President the power to use military force to free US citizens from the International Crimes Court. The law was passed in 2002 by President George W. Bush and was never appealed by any of the so-called Democrats.
So basically, if you're...
So I want to make a point here that The Hague is inside a NATO-defended country that is guaranteed by two nuclear powers, France and Britain. America built a law in 2002 by President George W. Bush that allows America, for the President to have the power to invade The Hague, a part of a sovereign country that is legally protected by two nuclear powers. Do you understand how fucking crazy that is?
That's basically saying, I'm going to do what I want and you guys just have to deal with it. That could trigger World War III.
Absolutely. Now, I don't believe the spineless cunts we've got in Parliament right now would do anything about it, and nor would France.
No.
And that would just shatter any illusion that NATO is a defensive compact. Let me be very, very clear about that. If America invaded The Hague and France and Britain did nothing except make a little bit of noise...
You do realise Russia and China and all that would be straight on the fucking bandwagon going, what the fuck are you guys playing at? They need to be punished, why aren't you punishing them? It would cause so much tension. It already is. It would spark World War III.
We are very close to that as it is. But the fact that the American government, going on 20 years ago, wrote a fucking law that almost no one talks about in today's society, it's fucking mental. Absolutely mental. And I apologise for swearing quite a bit in this first part of our podcast, because it is a really stressful point of view when you look at the possible displacement of millions of innocent Palestinians, the possible displacement of Egyptians, Saudi Arabians and UAE people. And the reason I say this is because there will be an implosion in the so-called stable Arab states. If Palestinian people are displaced, it will explode in the Middle East. There is no metric that allows Israel to survive, nuclear power or not, that the Muslim world will erupt. Turkey won't even be able to stay part of NATO. Erdogan will quit NATO just to keep his own chair. We would lose Turkey. That's our greatest flank in the Middle East, militarily speaking.
Yeah.
2/3 of NATO's supply depots are in Turkey to help supply what's going on in the Middle East. It'd be absolute mental. Erdogan would have to quit NATO. He'd have to kick the Americans out to stay in power, because the clerics that would take over after him would be far worse.
They're of course even more issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And Turkey's a modern military country. It's not even a minor military country.
It's a modern one.
Yeah. It's got one of the largest fucking militaries in the Middle East stroke Europe. It's not to be joked around.
Please don't piss
They're not nuclear. They're not one of the...
But they're big enough to cause a bloody issue.
Yeah. They could smack the shit out of most fucking countries. You'd be surprised. That's why Greece has so many problems with them. Them and Greek aren't exactly friends. But the implosion would just be off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. Anyway, let's get back to home stuff. Why does the UK have such a large number of food banks?
Cost of living. Straight off the bat.
Not just that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the main controversies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the main things in it.
Why do we need nearly 3,000 food banks at the end of 2024?
Because people can't afford it.
It's actually about 2,800-ish, I think, due to a high level of food insecurity caused by inadequate incomes levels, often linked to issues like low wages, benefit cuts, and rising cost of living, meaning many people simply cannot afford enough food, afford enough money for the basic need. Now, I need to stress this on the basic need of food. By the online governmental metric, basic need for food of a family of one parent is apparently £30 a week.
Fuck off.
Apparently. How the fuck can someone...
Hang on. A family of what? So one parent, and one child or two child?
No, one parent, one child.
One parent, one child is supposed to last on £30 a week.
Apparently.
I can't even last on £30 outside a week. Can I live on my own?
£30 a week.
If I budgeted for £30 a week, I'd be eating chicken and rice the entire week.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm an ex-chef. I say, personally, you need to be at least £10 to £20 in fruit and veg. You need about £10 worth of meat or beans. This is just for the child. And anywhere between £10 to £20, including, and this is an important factor that many people don't realise, in child needs, like nappies, baby rolls, bottles.
Which are sudden expensive.
They're fucking expensive these days. And this rolls into why we are not having as many children as Britons.
Because it literally costs
too much money.
Because they think we can last on £30. How can you last?
I don't know who writes these metrics.
Are they literally basing it on some like previous years where the cost of living and the living wage?
I have no idea. What I know is it was part of the UK survey that apparently £30 is livable for a single parent.
No chance.
The primary reason is insufficient income, and that food banks have been getting larger and larger, and the Truist Trust has been increasing exponentially, that they now have 1,699 food banks across the entire country. One trust. The Salvation Army, of which I want to give a great deal of respect for, the Salvation Army has done exceptionally well in providing food banks up and down the country. Another 800 food banks nationwide have been opened or operated by the Salvation Army. That's fucking, they give them Christians some solid due there. They really are trying to fix these problems. The welfare system in the UK is incredibly convoluted. It's a mess. It's a socio-mental mess. If you're a single parent, it is such a headache. You'd rather try to go to work full-time and have your child raised by your parents as grandparents, if you could do it. I promise you, and I'm sure there are dozens and dozens.
I know a few that would actually prefer that.
Because it's monstrously fucking difficult to get your head around the welfare.
Because that would be for the grandparents, what? Couple of hours after school, just to watch the kid, which I'm sure most grandparents would love
if they have stable grandparents.
Yeah.
So you've got to remember, we're in the second generations of single parent households. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit. You can hold your horses. I know you want to talk about that. Hold up. We then have austerity measures. We are still recovering as a country from austerity measures. We haven't yet had anywhere near the recovery financially. And this is why I say the burden of tax lies too much on the British public. And we need to streamline our tax system to the point where corporations aren't paying no tax. Because every corporation has an outlet. Every single fucking corporation has an outlet of tax. They all have the ability to backdoor. And when all companies backdoor, everyone gets stung. Because more and more of the weight of the society falls on me and you. And that's why we have a continually declining birth rate, because no one wants to finance the necessities of an improved nation. It's absurd. I mean, how the hell does one of the richest countries in Europe, yes, an ageing power, but has billions and billions of pounds of earnings? I mean, I don't even know how much money Britain generates. Let's look that up. How much money does Britain generate? The UK generate per year. Oh, $1 trillion.
We generate £1 trillion.
The United Kingdom generates $1 trillion. Actually, it's 1.1.
What, dollars or pounds? Which one?
No, billion dollars.
Dollars, yeah?
Yeah.
Is it done it in dollars, yeah?
Yeah. Right, survey I've got here. $1.1 billion.
$1.1 billion. So just under £1 billion.
No, Chris. 100,000... Billies. Mate, 1,000...
not dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Learn to read the freaking shit, yeah. Just over £1 billion.
£1,098 billion. 1,098.
Because you speak about America, so you think in dollars.
Fucking dollar signs, aren't I? £1 trillion. £1 trillion and £100 billion a year between 2023 and 2024. Why the fuck are we not able to support our own country and our own people? How, in God's name, are we generating £1 trillion a year and we can't take 35% of that in tax? I just want to have to look that number up. How much tax, if we were to tax that fairly, at 35%? Let's do a little bit of a maths game, Sean. 5%. 198 billion. 198 billion. And the government says they're always skint.
What the fuck are they spending it on?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I know where some of that money is going. Paying it out to other people instead of reinvesting it in ourselves.
You see, there is so much of the British pot that just vanishes, and I think we need multiple things. We need to streamline our tax system. I keep saying this. We need to find out where we're spending our working out what we're not wasting, because there is a waste going on, and I don't think the Tories have any idea of how much they've wasted or how much the Labour are going to waste. I mean, one of the reasons that I'm going to say this, and it's going to probably irritate people, I don't think we need another inquiry, even though the government has agreed to another inquiry, is because, one, it takes 10 years, from our previous podcast, remember the inquiry we talked about?
10 years to do an inquiry. How's that going to solve the issue now?
And they haven't implemented the previous one, and it's going to cost fucking millions of pounds. That is a waste of money. Why
could they not just look? I swear, the national inquiry is meant to be actually public knowledge.
National what?
If it is to do an inquiry, isn't that meant to be public knowledge?
Yeah, but the government, the Tory government, did nothing with it.
So if we're still a collab, we should be able to find it online.
No, because it was suppressed.
And that's because the fact they know they're fucking wasting money.
It's suppressed. Last government inquiry.
That's another piece of information that should be public knowledge, yet they suppress it. What are they trying to hide?
Child gang grooming. UK. Since you asked. A new inquiry. No. I want to know where the last one was. See? Nowhere to be seen. Not a fucking thing. The inquiry was stepped on so it could be properly addressed by Parliament, by Rishi Sunak's government, and then got buried. That's it. It was in Rishi Sunak's hands, our previous government, and he's done nothing with it. This is the state of your government. They have these inquiries, they have this information, they don't want to present it. And it was the Tories who didn't present it. Do you think that Nigel Farage will be any better than that? I don't understand how people think that these career politicians give a fuck about any of you. They don't. They never have. You need to stop electing them. I know that sounds bad, but I think that we need to shift our entire political spectrum of our nation away.
Can you just imagine if the monster raving ruling party took control of the UK?
No matter how crazy some of their stuff is, I still think that they would probably govern better than most of our current governments.
They would actually probably control the spending a lot fucking better by the sounds of it.
Big sheep citizens, fuck's sake. I fundamentally do believe that we need the Liberal Democrat Party to start getting its shit together. I genuinely do. I think they need to pull their finger out their arse, make some noise, fight for their country, because we're losing it to nationalists. Everything's being drowned in national rhetoric. Oh, look at this immigrant, look at that immigrant, look at this immigrant, look at that immigrant, look at this problem, look at that problem, and not solving the problems at our feet. We have so many problems on our table and no one's making the solution.
They're trying to divert us from the actual problem.
Exactly. They're just burying them again and again and again in more and more stories. Consume, consume, consume. Look at this, no, look at that, no, look at this. It's dreadful. It's time consuming, it's wasteful, and it's deeply, deeply disturbing to humanity to continue operating in this kind of mindset where people just disregard our human life. The British people are not going to get better unless we start fixing our country's problems, and we need to keep actually paying attention to this problem. and I feel like I'm a stuck record sometimes, Chris, on these podcasts. I keep saying we need to fight smarter. We need politicians who are willing to step up and speak about these problems on a consecutive pattern. It doesn't matter I'm Muslim. I don't mix my religion with my politics. And I've proven that, I think, now, 9 podcasts in. I try very hard to keep Islam to the side. And my problem I've got here is...
Well, religion and politics don't mesh.
Yeah! In very shy circumstances, they can.
Yeah. I'm going to say that they'll have what's called a...
Yeah.
They're two lines.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
brush.
They brush, and then they carry on.
When you need to ask moral questions, you should ask if you're moral... Like, I will say this, and I've said this many, many times. Muslims would prefer a Christian country today, a British Christian country today, than what we've got today.
Because the fact they have some standards and
morals. They have standards and morals. That's the thing.
And then the Christians would be like, well, as long as you've got standards and morals, we'll leave you alone. So there again.
Yeah.
2 paths.
Yeah.
2 paths.
The problem we have is Britain is no longer a Christian country.
Has it been for a while?
Yeah. 40%. 40% of the country is British. It registered as Christian. And you know how much of that is over 50?
Probably most of it.
I think it was like 61%. Mad. That tells you the way that our Christianity is going. Anyway, stepping away from religion, because I try very hard to keep it off this podcast, even with all the garbage that's going around the world right now, aimed at many of my co-religionists. And I really do wish the Palestinian people the absolute best. They're human beings. We don't want them harmed. Yeah, well,
everyone has the right to live regardless what they believe.
Yeah.
And if you can't tolerate that, then you're the problem.
Yeah, obviously.
That's simple as that.
Definitely. Grenfell Tower being demolished.
Covering up their mistake.
Ow! That's your first thought. Jesus.
Why out?
Oh my God.
Tell me why out. Apart from to cover up the mistake they made in not maintaining the building, not building it correctly and all that, what other reason is there apart from to cover up their mistake?
My God.
No point in frigging beating around the bush.
The government said on Friday that the tower, which was preserved after the horrific blaze ripped through the building and killed 72 people in June 2017, will be carefully taken down.
Do you want to know why they turned around and said to preserve but now be taken down? Because they probably looked into it and go, shit, this could happen again.
The government said on Friday that the tower, I've passed that part. Ministers have been met with fierce criticism from some of the bereaved families and survivors of the fire following a private meeting about its future earlier this week. Confirmations of the decision had led to calls for the ministers and others to accelerate the pursuit of justice after an official inquiry found decades of failure had led to the tragedy. Decades of failure.
That's what I mean. Improper maintenance.
So this is when you're talking about decades, you mean we're coming back to Tony Blair's age.
Damn.
We're talking about the Blair era. You know, back when your hairline was, you didn't need to comb over.
Hey, I don't need to comb my hairline.
Yeah, comb over. Yeah, comb over.
I still got a fucking hairline, unlike you.
Yeah, alright, yeah. I don't have grey hair like you.
I'm not bothered by that. At least I've got a hairline.
Mister, I'll shape it just so I don't look that old. back when.
Hey, I shaved the beard and I looked younger than what I did with the beard, so screw you.
Yeah, because your beard made you look old, let's be fair about this. My beard gives me distinction because I'm fugly.
No, my beard gave me the look of my age. Let's get that right.
The Grenfell Tower needs to be used as a monument to the mistakes of London's disgusting building trade. Remember, London is the only city where you can have something about the size of a modern Gloucestershire toilet be positioned as a one-bedroom flat.
Damn.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, that was outlawed.
Yeah. Good.
But flats as small as your kitchen are not outlawed. One-bedroom flats.
Do the same as well.
Eh?
Don't China do the same as well?
Yeah. But they're not Europeanly legal.
Yeah.
Literally, rooms as small as your kitchen. As a one-bedroom flat. And for that, it's £1,800.
That would drive me slightly crazy.
And that's £1,800.
£1,800.
£1,800.
£1,800 a month for a size in my kitchen.
£1,800.
That's wrong.
And that's why I fundamentally believe that's why they're pulling down Grenfell, because they don't want people pointing to the failures of the London building market, which may have pressured the Labour Party to do this. See, I'm more cynical than that. I know the engines in London are evil. Almost all the powers that are in London are out to screw anybody and everything to make money.
They're after the bottom line.
And I think it's the industry's worried that people are going to keep pointing at that when they want standards kept. That's my fundamental approval of it.
Standards should be kept.
Absolutely.
You should,
but they're always sliding, and especially in London.
You need room to move.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't live in a box as much as they would like you to live in a box. Because that would mean you'd have to then go outside and use other facilities which they can charge you for.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the London base elites would pressure the government. The government said it was a government decision, but I don't buy that. I know it has interlinking. Now, some people might cynically say, "Well, we need the land to build another tower block." No, you don't.
There's one there, just maintain it.
But no, it's not. No, it's not usable.
Is it not usable?
No.
It needs to come down then anyway if it's not usable.
I disagree. I think it should be left there as the eyesore it is, covered up with all the markings of the families, so that the rest of the towers have it as a visual fucking reminder. Remember, Chris, these are people who live in high rises. The people who make these decisions in London, the elite of London.
I get it. So I get what you're talking about. A giant middle finger to the ones.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the people who look down on our city do not see us as people.
I have a feeling if me and you met those people, they wouldn't be walking out of a room.
Chris, turn the security off.
Which I just replied it was off before we walked in the building.
Ka-tunk. Yeah. They're the kind of people who look down on our city and don't think we're human. They don't. They don't see... The people who actually run London, not the politicians, they don't run London. They're delusional if they think they do.
No, the corporations run London.
No. There is.
Or is there another power?
Yes and no.
Don't you mean the people that run London run the corporations? That
yes,
run London?
yes.
Is that what you're trying to say?
There is the right kind of cliques, the right kind of gentleman clubs in London, and the right kind of tailor shop people who frequent the right tailor shops, the right. They're not cafes. I don't even know the proper name for them. The posh equivalent of a cafe and gentlemen's clubs and that lot and golf courses, they are the communities that run London.
The high enders.
Yeah, the business bankers and stuff like that. Those are the people that run our city, and they don't. And I do genuinely believe Grenfell is a sight to them, and it reminds them we're human. It reminds them we are here. And I think that's my maybe that's a conspiracy. Alhamdulillah, it is.
Just a smidge
but
there.
I was raised in that hellhole. I spent 18 fucking years in that city.
So you'd know better than me.
And I fundamentally do not believe that a Labour government, in of its own volition, would be picking a fight with all those ethnic minorities. Because that's what Grenfell was. It was a massive ethnic minority tower. Labour would willingly...
What's wrong with that?
No. Chris, think of who the Labour voting base are.
Oh, yeah.
Why would a Labour Party pick to angering the Grenfell Tower survivors? Think, come on. ... Answer, someone is pushing them. Who is pushing them?
The bigwigs upstairs.
The bigwigs upstairs who don't want to see the ruined tower. And I mean, and I know that it sounds conspiracy theory, but it's not an unlogical one, I hope.
No, that makes sense compared to other conspiracies that people
you know what I'm saying? Because there's no justifiable reason why the Labour Party would decide to demolish the Grenfell Tower at this point and anger the part of their voting base. Because that's what it's going to do. It's going to, even if they're not going to need to get into power for another 4 years,
Doing something like that.
Doing something like that is an own goal, in my opinion, unless there is something pushing from outside.
It's an outside force.
It's an outside force that's bringing this in. I'm absolutely certain of it. And I don't know, but I have an idea.
I still reckon it ties in with somebody pushing from the outside, then they're going, oh, that gives us a chance to cover up our mistakes.
Yeah, no, completely. That could also be a factor.
Yeah.
It could also be the factor that they're trying to cover up because, again, as I said, there have been cases of your bathroom, though those were closed, because even Health and Safety in London said that's a bit too fucking small even for us. And yet they're genuinely the size of your kitchen.
Flats the size of the fucking kitchen. What the fuck?
I know, it's not even a big kitchen.
That's ideal for the size.
For single person, yeah. Single person kitchen is ideal, but I don't consider that a big kitchen. You know, if we were cooking for dining people, you know, I'd be a bit squished in there.
Well, I can't really see much. That's about the size of the kitchen of when I lived in my growing up home.
Squeeze, but doable. But yeah, I just, and then when you take into a factor all of those £1,800,
£1,800 for a room that size. Fuck.
How long would you live in London on that price?
I wouldn't live in London. I'd go fucking elsewhere. I'm very much one of I will get the bang for my buck. So if £1,800 gets me a room that size, when I could turn around and go to Scotland, and £1,800 probably get me a bloody mansion, I'm going to Scotland.
The Scots will take people like us.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Come up here. Fuck the English. It's just they're all about. We migrate to Scotland, mate. They'll be like, yeah, the Scottish.
And we could all fit in Scotland and UK, and the England would just be like empty.
I don't know.
Scotland's bigger than frigging Cornwall.
It's massive.
Yeah, I reckon we could turn around and all fit around one fucking mountain.
Chris, let's be fair. Scotland doesn't have mountains and big hills.
They're still classified as mountains.
It's just
on the scale. Oh, that's a different thing.
I know an 𝐬𝐵𝐿 that's bigger than those.
It'll probably be a small mountain, but it's still classified as a mountain.
The Germans and the Swiss say that's a hill. I take evening trips bigger than that.
I was going to say, that's a small joint of a small walk in the afternoon.
Is that your morning jog? Fucker. No, that's our biggest mountain. You call that? You're brave enough to call that a mountain? Oh God. You can imagine the Germans and Swiss looking at us like you're brave enough to call that a mountain. Oh, you have to laugh at some of the things that go on in this country. Otherwise you start fucking crying. You really do. Moving on. Masculinity, its effect on homes of single parents. More than 80% of criminals in jail come from fatherless homes.
Just the figures speak for itself.
I think
I really do. The figures speak for themselves.
Is there a connection between young people growing up in fatherless homes and young people involved in youth crime and gang violence?
No, if you haven't got a dad to put you in line, how are you going to judge what's right and wrong?
The answer is empirically yes. There is no way of beating around the bush. You cannot call it an attack on feminism. Unfortunately, the metric does not support this. 76% of young men in prison in England and Wales have had absentee fathers.
Yeah, I'd like to point out the fact that this isn't saying... This is nothing to do with feminism. This is just pure facts that in order to raise a...
Healthy adult male.
Healthy, successful adult...
Male.
Or I can.
No, fatherless daughters don't tend to go to prison that much.
Yeah.
They have a whole hope of other problems.
I'm going to say healthy adult, it includes male and female, whether they go to jail or not. You need a two-parent household.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, if you have a more dominant female, let's take lesbians as an example. Let's be quite multicultural.
That's still a two-parent
household. A more dominant lesbian disciplining the son and the daughter to teach them right from wrong. That is a healthy society. That's a healthy household.
Same with the other way around if it's two
It's impossible to run a single parent household. And this needs to be said. Prison Reform Trust 2013. Absentee fathers affect girls and young women as well. Here are some of the ways that father deficits affect girls and young women. Fatherless daughters can have very low self-esteem issues, more likely to have eating disorders, more prone to depression, Struggle to build and maintain good relationships. More likely to become sexually active early. When they say early, they are not talking 16. They mean preteen.
Younger.
Yeah. That's the scary thing.
That's no.
Yeah. They're not talking legal young.
No. Just no.
Can develop in addictions. 2.9 million children live in lone parent households in the UK. National Statistics 2019. 2.9 fucking million. Where are all your baby daddies? Where are all your baby daddies? I
want to know what's going wrong for the fact that there isn't for a two-parent household to actually occur. I can understand obviously if the parents don't get on and whatnot and separate.
The Relationship Foundation of UK says that it's costing Britain £51 billion of the economy in 2018 for family breakdown.
I know there are some cases, by sounds of it, most cases these days, where the parents don't stay together and they separate. But then, I'm like, as long as both parents are involved within the child's upbringing, it should have less of an impact on them than if one just completely vanished out of the picture.
It's mad. It's absolutely mad. It's empirical that even if you don't have a parent, a father in the family, if you daughters of Britain want to cut the man out because he's toxic, he's destructive, you didn't understand that until you opened your legs and laid down with him and made a fucking baby with him. I'm not criticising you, honestly. Shut up. I just said what I said, and the world be damned for it, personally. Then you should have another partner. You must, or get the grandfather involved. Get your father involved if you have a father.
They need a father figure within.
That is our problem.
Life.
How we are now in the second generation of fatherless households. Low self-esteem daughters having fuckboy boyfriends, having no father figure of their own, not being able to show their children even their grandfather. Compounded problematic. And I know, and I might be considered a bit savage towards our fairer sex, but I think if we don't grasp these problems we have in British society, we are going to have a problem. And
I think we're on the verge of having a problem.
Yeah,
if we're already on second generation of fatherless children, second generation of fatherless homes, it won't be long before it's a third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
something needs to change. We can't keep dodging this conversation. We really can't. It's important that our young people have active fathers in their lives.
I can understand, obviously, if the parents don't get on. Yeah, I'm not saying, obviously, if you don't get on, invite them back into the home. No, because that would just cause further issues. Set up agreement plan.
Something like that. Yeah,
something like that. So the father is still involved within the child's life.
Absolutely.
So you still got that form of discipline from the father, as well as yourself. Even if there isn't two people at home, there's still two parents within their life.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, even though the law states you're legally an adult at 18,
and it's already been proven that biologically.
Stop. Even though you're legally an adult at 18.
Yeah.
Doctors believe that children and young adults are incredibly vulnerable until they're past 21 without a father figure.
That makes sense, your body isn't fully matured across the board until it's 25 or something.
Yeah, there are arguments on when the brain develops.
But it's after when you're fully matured. It's after your 20s. Yeah, that is clear.
Yeah. Your brain stops developing in your early 20s or mid 20s or something.
So you're still developing into your 20s.
But these are the exposures to all sorts of crimes throughout the likes of the media, such as films, television, social media. They're also exposed to criminal activity through video games and music. Now, this might be stereotyping video games and music. That's fine if you have a firm hand inside of it. You see, if I was playing a video game, and an example, I had some of the early video games. I'm not that old that we didn't have things like the original Xbox game cards. If my dad called me, I'd turn it off immediately. There is no conversation here. An Irishman shouts up the bloody stairs, you turn everything off and you get off your arse, you get down that stairs as fast as your arse can get you. Because you don't want him coming up those stairs, an 18-stone man coming looking for you when your young 12, 13-year-old is never healthy. It is a terrifying sound hearing your father's feet hit the fucking stairs. So I can promise you, I might play video games when I was a child, I might have watched movies like that, but there was always someone there to discipline you when enough was enough.
In other words, someone to draw a line and go, no, time's up.
Exactly. And you don't have that in British society anymore. And that's not just... So I'm not criticising music or video games or movies in upon themselves, but they are a catalytical point that adds to a combination of problems alongside social media, anxiety, stress. And again, I genuinely do think we should put an age limit on social media. All forms of social media should be 16. I happen to agree with that. We shouldn't be... Kids shouldn't be having mobile phones before.
And even then, I reckon it should be limited at 16 and not unlocked until like full exposure until gone 20.
But that would take draconian laws, and I know that the fucking advertising industries here in the UK would go absolutely mental.
I don't care. I'd rather develop a bunch of nice, stable young people that could take the country forward than someone that's going to sit in a box room, have anxiety, depression, and everything else.
And have a foxtail shoved up their shoo and wearing ears. No, that's some of the extremes. Let's just call it what it is. Those are some of the extremes. And they're in this country. No, I've seen it pop up on Instagram Reels. I'm like, you need to go seek help. No, just I'm sorry. I've got no time for it.
No, you know when you're just scrolling through the reels, just a quick flick through.
I presume you've heard it. Happy. Yeah. That fucking thing.
Yeah, literally scroll through and I'm like, I see it, scroll off after 2 seconds. It's in the back of my mind. You need to go speak to somebody.
Absolutely.
And deal with whatever the fuck is going on in your head.
Absolutely.
I can understand fetishes regarding the sexual nature.
Please stop shaking the fucking camera. Your arm's shaking the fucking camera.
It's because I'm leaning on the table. I can understand like fetishes regarding personal stuff in the bedroom. Yeah, fine. It's fine to keep it closed.
It's Japanese anime, mate.
Yeah,
and just wrapped up in some mad things.
They've took it too far.
To another, like they take everything too far. That's the problem. The potential
I can understand cosplay because that's just basically dressing up as your favourite character. It's what you did when you was kids.
Yeah, but I think that's weird doing it in your bedroom.
No, I can understand. Obviously, no, it's a cosplay thing. Just generally innocently cosplay.
I think it's weird when adults are dressing up as like Leia and fucking Luke, cosplaying around the room with their couples. Okay, that's a thing.
No, but that's something that should be kept behind closed doors. I'm talking about if you go to like a Comic-Con convention because you're a fan of the series or whatnot.
Okay, I'm older than you. What's a Comic-Con?
Comic-Con, yeah. Comic-Con, it's where you go along and show support for like Simpsons, Pokemon, and the games. You show that you're a fan of it. Not saying you're going to go do something disgustingly dirty, but it's just a fan.
Astaghfirullah.
It's basically like saying if you're a football fan, but just for video games.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't sound as bad.
Yeah.
It probably is worse. I'm not going to Google this. I'm not going to... I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No. Traditional cosplay is just basically similar to somebody showing that they like the game, like you like.
Am I to assume when you mention the word traditional cosplay, how often is traditional cosplay still traditional cosplay today?
Actually, when they do it in mass gatherings and everything else, it's still traditional.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the funky stuff that you're thinking about that goes on in fucking
I'm thinking the whole thing probably is.
No. This is done in massive public arenas.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, I'm just. I didn't do cosplay.
San Diego Comic Con.
So is it like similar to LARPing?
Sorry, what?
LARPing.
What the fuck's that?
Right, in the 80s, people would dress up like elves and dwarves.
Yes, similar to that.
And
yes.
Fight with rubber swords.
Yeah.
Now I didn't do it, but I knew of it.
Yeah. It's a more grander scale on that.
Okay. So it's an advancing of LARPing.
Yeah.
I kind of know what LARPing is. Fair enough. Behavioural problems that children are more likely to struggle with in society settings: building relationships, making friends. Many may attempt to try and come across scary or aggressive to hide their below the surface. They are scared, unhappy, and have anxiety. Much of these problems are resolved by the fact of them not having a father figure in their society. Speaks volumes for itself. I've got pages of this medical stuff, and we've been banging on about it since we got onto this fucking situation. It's madness. I can't even come to the layers.
Even if it's a case of fact there isn't a mother and a father in the same household, there still needs to be a father figure within that child's life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if the mother and father can't deal with each other, the father should be involved.
Yeah, let's get that one thing straight. In the ideal situation, we'd want them both living together, having a healthy relationship and everything else, and bringing the child up accordingly. But obviously, we all know some things break down, doesn't work, everything else. But as long as both parents are involved within the child's life, you're still able to raise a healthy child.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm still alive, so my dad didn't do too bad a job. The fact that I'm still breathing is a miracle. I mean, I sometimes ask that question: how did I make it out of my tens? Because if you think I'm bad now, you were as well when I was like 30 plus years ago.
I just had to imagine for you being a problem child. Your smile says it all.
I'm not sure. My mum used to deliberately state that I was either 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐿 from Home Alone or Dennis the Menace.
I'd say Dennis the Menace more than Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because seriously,
I seriously want to see you with the catapult with Dennis.
I didn't own a catapult. My father would never let me buy one.
Probably because he knew the destruction you would cause.
No, because he knew I'd shoot it at him.
Yeah, exactly. Destruction you would cause. You won't have any brothers or sisters because you would have hit him in the nuts so many times.
Well, no, because I was the accident. The rest of my family came quite quickly afterwards. So no. By the time I was old enough to use a catapult, my family had stopped. There's no way he'd never let me have it. When I had the spud gun once, I had one spud gun. I was running round, I was shooting my sisters, and then I loaded it fully loaded it, waited while my dog was snoring, opened his mouth and shot him in the mouth. I got chased around the living room for nearly 10 minutes. When I catch my breath, boy, this slipper, I'm like, you're going to catch me first! My sisters were dying, absolutely dying. I was a menace, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, Dennis the Menace.
Absolute menace. But yeah, I mean, children have poor academical problems that go alongside fathers' households. They get exploitation and abused a lot easier. Remember, one of those critical things, one of the most prolific, if you're triggered by this stuff, please, I'm probably going to add a part of that about putting a trigger warning at the front of this video, just because I'm going to cut this part out. So yeah, I mean, in absolute honesty, there are a lot of exploitation, and one of the most prolific child molesters in America, in the United States, he molested something like 37 children. And he said the first thing I looked for was, is there a father in the business?
That's just...
So when you look at the largest sexual predator in America...
The fact that he's using those statistics to his advantage is extremely concerning.
Yeah. He says, I would be looking to see if there's a father figure in the household before I would approach a child.
Is that public knowledge that he said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that says he's just basically giving ammunition to fellow predators.
That's public. That's huge public knowledge. Like that interview of him, that he went and looked for children. One of the big things he did in his interview was he looked for children who didn't have a strong father figure in their household.
Damn.
Not is the mother wealthy? Is the household well informed? Is there a lot of money? Does the child look like they're well educated or such like that? No. Is there a father figure? That was his first question before he came over to molest them.
Damn.
And that is a horrific reality. And I know that's a disgusting thing for us to leave you on, and it is something that I consider very, very dark, twisted, but it is a reality.
That's the very...
When professional predators with over 30 confirmed molested children, locked up, convicted felonies in America, were interviewed, he wanted to make sure that they didn't have a strong father figure. If they did, he wouldn't go near them.
Because you need the father figure rid of him.
Because he knows mothers are much weaker. If there's a strong father figure, he wouldn't even go near them. Wouldn't even open the conversation. All the other factors are out the door.
Strong fathers, no, not bothering because it would cause too much issues.
Yeah. And that is a terrifying, terrifying position for you to be in. These are all indications that we must deal with the single parent household problems here in the United Kingdom. And we say this with no grit or harm. This is not meant as an attack on women. We think they're the beautiful part of our world. We love women. Well, I do. Chris, we're not so sure.
Rude. And absolutely not true.
So metrosexual.
Just because I like to make... Good way to laugh and end on a joke there. Literally, just because I take care of my looks and whatnot, screw you.
The minute he walked in the joint, douche. It's been a pleasure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If he's alive by next one, you'll be surprised.
Speak to you all next time at podcast 10.